And matter of fact, that person know who he is. Look, I got a mission for you today, Mr. Bible. I want you to go in that Bible, right? And find me a verse. It's going to take a while. Find me a verse where God ever said man should put themselves in woman's shoes. And before you start that mission, let's start with this. Where was woman created? How was woman created? Let's just start there.
Why, certainly. I was hoping that you asked. Uh, I started to go live, but the only reason I didn't go live is because I wanted to make sure people had time to pause and let what I'm about to say sink in. I also wanted to make sure, for clarity's sake, that everybody understood where we were coming from, how this discussion came about. And I wanted to make sure that my words weren't being taken out of context. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Sometimes you got to say it again for the people in the back. You understand what I'm saying? So let's go ahead. Like I said, I'm going to answer your questions, but I want to make sure everybody understands why we are having this conversation before I get to my answers, and even a couple of questions I have for you. All right. But this all started with your post. Your post says, I usually don't speak on much, but this shit is urgent. Fellas, we are effing cooked. A stand-up nigga like Steph Curry can't even satisfy his wife, and these chicks idolize Cardi B, a effing 304. Shaking my effing head. Raise your kids and prepare for the rapture. I promise you it's closer than we think. That was your post. That's what you said. Those were your words. I made sure I posted it so everybody could see that those were your words, because I'm not trying to slander nobody. I'm just trying to speak my truth. All right. So I replied, I think that's only one way to look at the situation. Having money doesn't always mean being fulfilled. And unfortunately, a lot of women do have to deal with exactly what she's talking about. It's not about Steph not satisfying her. It's about her feeling like she didn't or doesn't get to be her. And no amount of money can change that. If that's her truth, then that's her truth. We as men have to do a better job of trying to understand women rather than just calling them ungrateful. I stand 10 toes down. I don't think there was anything in that paragraph that was confusing. I made it crystal clear all I was trying to say. Because, I know this all stems from Aisha Curry, and I know some of y'all are tired of hearing from her. I said, I didn't know everything that was going on. All I saw was this one post by her. You know what I mean? But I still think my response hits, because if that's her truth, then that's her truth. And if y'all just tired of hearing her talk about it, then that's your business. I don't got nothing to do with that. You understand? But let's continue. So he says, or you said, depending on perspective I'm coming from, that wasn't my point. My point is, she's a grown ass woman. She made the decision to follow his lead. If anything, she has nothing but time to continue to fulfill her dreams. She doesn't have to work, live in survival mode, or even babysit if she didn't want to. What are you talking about, sir? What are you talking about? What? I'm not even. Any woman that just heard that statement right now, y'all understand why I just said what? I don't even have to say it right now. Especially any black woman in the United States of these here Americas heard that statement. You know exactly why I made the face that I just made. But I digress. Let's continue. Oh, and then he also said, because I didn't catch that he had sent this before I sent my response. He said the real issue is, now he's telling us what the real issue is. She don't like living in his shadow. His attention isn't enough for her, even though he adores her. So that's what he said the real issue is. The real issue is that she don't like living in his shadow. His attention isn't enough for her, even though he adores her. He's entitled to his opinion. I can't say that that's not what it is, because that could very well be what it is. I don't know. All right. So this was my response to those two statements. The first one, I said, bro, there's some shit you just would not understand about women unless you're willing to put yourself in their shoes and see things from their perspective. No disrespect, but I'm not quite sure you're willing to do that to understand what I'm talking about, honestly. Let me say that again. Bro, There's some shit you just wouldn't understand about women unless you're willing to put yourself in their shoes and see things from their perspective. No disrespect, but I'm not quite sure that you're willing to do that to understand what I'm talking about. Because it was clear to me that he didn't understand why I said what I said in the first place, right? Uh, and then he later goes on to verify this because then he goes and does this live. He starts off talking about simps and jellybacks, and he's talking about niggas in his inbox. And I know I didn't inbox the niggas, so I'm like, I don't think he's talking about me, but for some reason I feel like this nigga's talking about me. It's crazy. And so he goes on to say, but it was really this one nigga that got me though, for real. This nigga told me that in order for me to understand women, I gotta put myself in their shoes. And I said, so this nigga was talking about me. Okay. So here I am. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm gonna just repeat it one more time. There's some shit you just wouldn't understand about women unless you're willing to put yourself in their shoes and see things from their perspective. No disrespect, but I'm not quite sure you're willing to do that to understand what I'm talking about, honestly. And then when I saw his second thing, I said, the one that I said he's entitled to have his opinion about, he could be right. And I said, and I'm saying that you can't truly say that like it's a fact. You say it again. I'm saying that you can't truly say that like it's a fact. I'm not denying that there may be truth to that, but it's also very quite possible that's not the situation at all, because you have no idea the pressure of being a black woman in this country. I'm not denying that there may be some truth to that, but it's also quite possible that that's not the situation at all, because you have no idea the pressure of being a black woman in this country. That's all I said. That's all I said, folks. Then it went on, are you telling me that it's easy to be a black man? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yo, like, first of all, you want me to be real? It is. Just because you say something is easier or harder, it doesn't negate the fact that that thing may be easy or hard. Is it easy to be a black man in America? Of course not. No, it's extremely hard. Very, very hard to be a black man in this country. That's facts. Is it harder to be a black woman? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And you can argue with whoever you want to argue with. I'm not worried about it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, that's how I got here. That's how I got here. So I need to address that. And you know what? Hold up. I'm gonna hit pause just for 1 second because I need to send over my other things I need to make sure y'all see. So y'all hold on for a second. I'll be right back. All right, we back. We back. Sorry for the short interlude, but like I said, I had to come with my receipts. You know what I mean? Because I like to be prepared. I heard him say that he likes to have intellectual conversations, and I like that. Yeah, I'm here for that. So I wanted to make sure that I came as intellectually prepared as possible, because you questioned me. The challenge was, you said, I want you to go in the Bible and show me where God basically ever said that as a man, we should put ourselves in a woman's shoes. That's what you said. Then you came back and said, matter of fact, tell me where a woman came from, as if that was supposed to prove something. But before I even get to them, and I promise you I'm going to get to them, I need to dissect a little something in the beginning first, though. Why does it trigger you when I say, in order to understand a woman, you need to put yourself in her shoes? Why does that statement bother you so much in the first place? Let's get there before I even answer the questions. Let's start there. Why does that statement bother you so much? Could it be that it attacks your ego because you feel like, why do I got to put myself in her shoes? She don't ever put herself in mine. That don't sound like a man to me. Sound like a bitch. Yeah. Why do I have to put myself in her shoes? I'm paying the bills. I'm taking care of her. She should just be grateful. That don't sound like a man to me. It sounds like a bitch. Yeah, why should I put myself in her shoe? I know what she goes through. I'm going through the same thing. That sounds like a bitch. What are you talking about? Huh? Huh? What are we really talking about? So why does it bother you? Why does it bother you to see a black man sit here and say, hey, bro, there's some stuff about women that you're just not going to understand unless you are willing to put yourself in their shoes and look at things from their perspective. Why do you think they're not worth that? Why is that a challenge to you? Why is that not that should be something you should want to do? You say you love these women, you say you care about these women, then why would you not want to try to understand them? Because that's what we're talking about here. Understanding, not trying to know. I think it's very interesting you started off by calling niggas simps. It's crazy. Now, to be fair, are there some simps out there? Absolutely. Yeah, there's some real simps, simps. Yes, there's some simple ass niggas out there that's just out there just being dumb. Just being dumb. That's I'm gonna just leave it at that. Y'all know who y'all are, and ladies, y'all know who they are. So do what you do. I'm not even mad. There are some simp ass niggas out there. Spineless, as you define. Yes, simple ass niggas. Spineless, jellyback, just do what they do anything. Like don't stand on nothing. I agree, right? But see, my problem with you is you don't understand that you're a simp as well, right? You're not a SIMP though. You're a SYMP, right? You're a simp ass nigga, right? Because you the type of nigga that can only sympathize with a woman, but you ain't never willing to put in the work to actually empathize with. You the type of nigga that'll tell a woman what she's feeling, tell her why she should be grateful for what she's doing, whatever. Tell her why she should be feeling and why she shouldn't be feeling whatever she's feeling, and never take the time or the effort to understand why she's saying what she's saying. You simp ass nigga. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me. I said I was gonna keep it intellectual. So let me help you understand what I'm talking about. See, in the English dictionary, let me put the glasses on. Let me get my Poindexter on. You see, in the English dictionary, there are two words that can sometimes feel and seem like they're the same, but they're actually very different. All right. There's one word that's called sympathy. Everybody say it with me. Sympathy. Sympathy. All right. This is the definition of sympathy. It's a feeling of pity or sorrow for another person's suffering or misfortune. Say it again. A feeling of pity or sorrow for another person's suffering or misfortune. Key action: acknowledging the other person's emotions from a distance, offering comfort, advice, a lot of advice, or trying to find a positive aspect. That's actually not a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's not bad. When you really think about it, acknowledging the other person's emotions from a distance, offering comfort, advice, or trying to find a positive aspect, you know? So an example of this is you feel sorry for a friend who lost a loved one, but you don't necessarily feel their pain, right? So instead focusing on offering them support or practical help. So in other words, it's good to have sympathy. You know, it's sympathy is you see somebody hurting, you know that they're going through pain. You don't really understand it yourself, but you at least recognize it, right? So you're willing to call it out. Hey, I'm sorry that you feel bad. You know what I mean? Empathy is different. Empathy is deeper. That's empathy, to feel with someone, understanding their emotions as if you were experiencing them yourself. Let me say that again. To feel with someone, understanding, that's the word, understanding their emotions as if you were experiencing them yourself. Sounds like putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Key action: connecting on an emotional level without judgment and actively engaging with another's feelings. Let me say that one again. Connecting on an emotional level without judgment and actively engaging with another's feelings. An example: You're feeling angry about a colleague's unfair criticism because you've experienced it before and truly understand their distress. So in this case, you're understanding what somebody else is going through because you've been there yourself, or you can relate to it more closely. So what's a good way I can explain it? For me personally, when a person loses their dog, you know what I mean, and they are like truly heartbroken, I can only sympathize with that person because I've never had that type of attachment to an animal before. I can only empathize to the fact that I know what it's like to lose a loved one, but to the love that some people have for their pets, I could never, until I have that actual love for a pet one day. I don't know what they're feeling, because to me it's just an animal. No disrespect, you know what I mean? To me it's a pet, it's a loved one, family member, but I'll never understand that bond because that's not a bond I've ever had before. So I can't truly understand. I can't put myself in their shoes because I don't know what that feels like. And I have to acknowledge that. So I can only sympathize with that person. Now, if somebody were to be hurting because they lost their father, right? If somebody were to be hurting because they lost their child, now I can empathize with that person because I've experienced that. I know what it's like to lose my father. I know what it was like to lose my daughter. So now I'm not just sympathizing with you, but I'm empathizing with you. I can feel your pain because I've been there. I understand. That's the difference between sympathy and empathy. And the idea of a simp, a only simp, because I did say sympathy was a good thing. The problem with when you just only sympathize, you never take the time, you never put in the work to do the real understanding. That's my problem when a simp nigga just stays a simp nigga. You know what I mean? I'm glad that you became a simp nigga in the first place, to show sympathy. I appreciate it, but there's a level that you can go up, my boy, and it's to understand. It's to truly understand to the best of your ability. I don't care how much I'm talking. There's still some things that I will never understand simply because I am not a woman. I won't. But there's a lot of things that I took the time to put myself in their shoes to understand. There's some things that I experience and I can relate to myself. Now I can understand. And so does that make me, I'm the simp for doing that? That's crazy. No, that's a black man that's saying, you know what? I need to learn how to love these women better. I need to know how to protect them better. And how can I do that? By always telling them what they need and what they want. How can I make it happen? How can I ever make them truly feel safe and secure if I never listen to what they saying makes them feel safe and secure? Because I think that they're already safe and secure because I'm bringing home the bag. That's what's wrong with you niggas now. Because what's she complaining for? Because Steph is a baller. She don't like the attention. She don't want just his attention. She got all the money. She can do this. She can do that. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Money don't rule everything, bro. And money don't make every single thing better. And you do not know how many black women, yes, have to put their dreams aside, have to change their plans because of motherhood, because of being a wife, because of all the different circumstances that they deal with, that niggas like you don't even take the time to truly understand because you think that they should be all right. What are you talking about? Like, really, what are you talking about? And then you call a nigga like me soft because I took the time to actually put in the work to understand why women don't feel safe, to understand why they feel objectified all the time. I don't care what they put on, what they wear. I understand the deeper aspect of it. Yeah, but I'm soft. What are you talking about? I'm a real man, bro. I love my women for real. I love my woman for real. I'm willing to put in the work. I did what it takes to understand why they feel the way they feel sometimes, why they react the way they react sometimes, even why they think the way they think sometimes. Because it made me a better man. I'm a better man because of it. Now I can love her the right way. Yeah. I can be everything that I need to be for her because I'm truly being what she needs me to be and not what I think she needs me to be. Yeah. What are you talking about? So your question is, why should you have to do that? Why should I have to put myself in a woman's shoes? What are you saying? Why would you even object to that? Why do you not want to do those things to love them better? Why do you not want to see the world from their perspective? Why do you not want to care about why they react the way they act and how they've been treated in their lives and what examples they've had? Why? Oh, because you feel like it's just making excuses about them? Because, oh, you feel like, oh, well, what about me? What about me? What about you? Yeah, I said it. What about you? And no, that's not to say we don't care about you, but nah, nigga, stop acting like you're more important than her. No, we are equally important, but we have a responsibility as a man. Yeah, it's a responsibility as a man to put her feelings first. That's what makes you a man because you're built to handle it. We want to sit here and bitch and complain. Why? What about my feelings? Yeah, we care about your feelings. Yes, your mental health matters. Yes, everything that we're saying about them matters about you too. Yes, but part of you being a man is the fact that you're capable of putting her first. That's what makes you a man. But you bitch about niggas that want to put her first. What are you talking about? Like, really, what are we talking about? This nigga asked for a Bible verse to support what I'm saying right now. How about the whole Bible? How about that's what Christ literally did for us? God himself came down and experienced life as a full human just so that he could empathize with us. That's why the Bible says we have not a high priest that doesn't know our infirmities. Jesus knows exactly every single thing that I've been through because he put himself in my shoes. God himself put himself in my shoes just to show me that he loves me. Why would I not do the same thing for my woman? What are you talking about? Matter of fact, oh, you said you wanted scripture. Let me get the scripture. Let me go ahead and do that for you because, I don't want to be called a liar. Here we go. Husbands. Oh, and yeah, a lot of the verses I'm gonna talk about husbands because yeah, real men ain't afraid to get married. Yeah, but that's a whole nother conversation. But husbands is a man, right? All right. Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect as to the weaker partner as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. That's 1 Peter 3:7. You know what I mean? So be considerate with your wife. Being considerate of my wife means considering her feelings, considering her perspective, putting myself in her shoes. Ephesians 5:21, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Submit to one another. Funny, I know, oh, you're supposed to submit to your husband. Why submit to your husbands? 5:21, submit one to another. So she submits to me, I submit to her. What's another one? Colossians 3:19. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. Philippians 2:5. Oh, that's the one about Jesus. Yeah, I mean, took on the form of a servant and became human. If God himself took on the form of a servant just to put himself in our shoes, why would I not do the same? Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, and that he gave himself for it. So, you got all of these scriptures saying to be like Christ. Christ was the one who put himself in our shoes. He tells us to love our woman the same way. So, you still confused?